Coming up in the news, the Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce discussing plans for the year ahead. Also, residents voicing their frustrations on the Bahamas fast ferry, Valyria. And a local support group needs your help in saving this woman's life. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
Watching the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening all, I'm Shashina Wolfarkison. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping news this evening, the Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce has its hands full this year. The chamber that represents the business community is looking at ways to help turning the island's ailing economy around. Business leaders say prior to September, there were signs of growth, but the island is suffering another setback. Well, as a result, rebuilding is an even greater challenge. Jamila Mizik has more in this report.
President of the Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce, Greg LaRota, shaping up the chamber's 2019 to be a challenging one. He says in 2019, the economy was struggling, but there were signs of recovery. However, after Hurricane Dorian, there has been some setbacks. Since the storm, the president says the chamber has surveyed businesses, prioritized what they were told in terms of needs, and communicated those needs to the government, who acted swiftly and decided in favor of a lot of the recommendations. He adds that they were able to provide assistance that a lot of those businesses needed. However, he says there are some shortcomings.
When it comes to recovery, what is that recovery? What does it look like? I think that's where we're falling short. And by that I mean, if a business was struggling prior to Dorian, because there was a lack of critical mass, for instance, on Grand Bahama, to provide the environment for business to thrive in prior to Dorian, then that problem is even bigger now because a lot of folks left the island since Dorian.
He says moving forward, the chamber should step back from crisis mode, move towards strategic planning, and provide an environment for businesses to grow.
We need to look at how we can assist businesses with retooling, maybe, looking at how they could provide a better product to their customer base and what they can do to really strengthen their business as opposed to just going back to business as usual. Because if we do that, then you're looking at just short term, and sooner or later some of these businesses will be back out of business. And we're really looking for long-term recovery. And I think when we say recovery, we should not just be talking about recovery from Dorian. We should be talking about recovery of the economy.
And here's what he says he'd like to see the chamber achieve in 2020.
I'd like to see the chamber being a more informed chamber, being involved in that process moving forward, helping small businesses, again, medium-sized businesses, to better equip themselves to survive moving forward. Provide them with training, extra training. Provide them with the networking. Provide them with access to capital so that they can survive and be a part of that recovery process.
Jamila Mizik, ZNS Network News.
In other news, it provides an essential service to Grand Bahama, and ever since the passage of Hurricane Dorian, its role in assisting with the recovery and rebuilding of this island has become even more essential. But in recent time, the fast ferry Valyria has come under heavy scrutiny as residents claim that they are being treated unfairly and are accusing the fast ferry of taking the people of Grand Bahama for granted. Italia Hall explains.
Passengers are outraged about the ongoing delay when it comes to shipping vehicles to Grand Bahama. Additionally, some say items are going missing from pallets, and when goods do arrive, they are damaged. Passengers say they are disappointed that the Valyria continues to take funds from Grand Bahamans, despite the fact that they are backed up and are aware that they won't be able to ship the cargo to Grand Bahama in a timely manner. Resident Cherry Albury says she has had an unpleasant experience with an employee of the fast ferry as well.
They need to do something. It is ridiculous. People already went through the storm. And we don't need to go through another storm by they dictating to us and telling us, they're treating us any kind of how. We come here to custom, down to custom. We try to blame custom for Valyria mess. That is not custom mess, that is Valyria mess. Valyria know how much bin or how much pilot they can tote within a day. They should sell their ticket with the bin or the pilot. If only 200 they can do, they should say, we only can bring 200 pilot or 200 bin. You can come on the boat, but we cannot sell you any more bin.
Well-known business owner of D's Car Rental, Darren Cooper, says he's been utilizing Valyria services for years and is unhappy with the service being offered.
I think one of the biggest frustration for me over the years with the Valyria is lack of communication, informing me, the customer, of what is the new regulations, what is going on, what is the delay. After the hurricane, I would have purchased some 5 cars for customers from the ending of September. This is now January, and I have not received any of those vehicles as yet.
Cooper says he's been trying to get a refund from Valyria, and to date, nothing has happened.
Whilst the office in Grand Bahama, I believe, is doing their best, and in the lack of information that they may be getting, I think more needs to be done. The Valyria should be held accountable for a person's goods. They would say put in a claim. The process would be long and drawn out, and then there's always this battle between the Valyria damaging the goods or the port or the harbor damaging the goods, or it's never no one taking responsibility. I would have shipped my goods through the Valyria, and I would have holding them accountable for any damages.
Businessman Vernal V.C. Colebrook has had his share of challenges with the fast ferry as well. He says he believes that the Valyria does not value Grand Bahamians.
Communication between the Valyria and the public is terrible, it's poor. If they have cancellations, we don't know until the 9th hour. I'm sure you must have heard over the Christmas period the way the people were treated. Items being left for days on end. People having to make deals to get their stuff here. How much more are we supposed to take? We put millions of dollars into this company, millions. We keep them going. We are enriching them. We get no appreciation.
These residents say overall they believe more competition is needed.
We're not asking them for anything. We pay them our money. The pilot used to be $175, $185. Bin used to be $175, $200 and something. They keep going up. They're telling you, if you bring your thing as a cycle level, you will get it within that day. That's not happening. That is not happening. They need to do better than what they're doing down there. They're treating us like nothing, and as Bahamian, we just sitting down and taking it, and they ain't saying nothing. We as Bahamian, we need to stand up.
I still have no other choice but to continue to use the Valyria, between Valyria and C Corp. But you need to give us Bahamians a little more respect, especially businesses that have been carrying you for many years.
It's Talia Hall, ZNS Network News.
Now, our ZNS News team reached out to officials at Valyria. Guest Relations Director at Valyria Caribbean, Jay Taylor, admits that the company recognizes that during demand periods like holidays and emergency relief efforts, the business model that is now in place becomes maximized, therefore leaving the Valyria to fall short in areas that would normally be most efficient. Taylor says after the passage of Hurricane Dorian, the travel period proved to be the greatest as the company went from transporting 200 passengers, shipping 20 to 30 pallets and 10 cars daily, to 400 plus passengers, 200 pallets and 40 cars daily post-Hurricane Dorian. He says while the Valyria has never experienced such volumes, teams both in Florida and the Bahamas have done their best to meet the needs of each customer. Taylor says based on concerns, it is obvious that the Valyria did not achieve 100% guest satisfaction, but notes that they have met and in many instances exceeded the expectations of more than 90% of those customers. Now, he also says the company is aware that there are some customers that may have shipped filed claims and tried contacting the Valyria and have not received a prompt response. He said they are currently working through each submission and asks for all customers who have not yet heard from them to contact them as soon as possible. For customer service concerns, you're being advised to contact customer.service@ValyriaCaribbean.com. For cargo services, you can contact cargo@ValyriaCaribbean.com. And for cargo claims, j.taylor@ValyriaCaribbean.com. Now for cars, you can call 754-308-0409. Switching gears now, central and local government hosting a town meeting in North Abaco last night. Recovery and rebuilding, the focus of that meeting. Megan Shepard is in North Abaco tonight with a report.
Residents in North Abaco attending a town meeting at Faith Walk Church of God in Cooperstown, Abaco, hosted by the area Member of Parliament, the Honorable Darren Henfield, and the Managing Director of the new Disaster Reconstruction Authority, K. Forbes Smith. Panelists sharing critical information about the reconstruction phase also included board members of the new authority, the Department of Social Services, the Ministry of Works, and an NGO, Global Empowerment Missions. Now founder of GEMS, Michael Capone, announcing that he has committed to providing building and repair supplies for some 256 homes in the northern communities.
Basically, our scope will be to deliver the necessary materials to every homeowner, from the Coopers to basically Fire Road. So that involves having new plywood, new peel and stick, new shingles. We're going to try to have different colors so the roofs can be matched. New drywall. We're going to work on mold remediation. We're going to have drip edge for you guys. We're going to oversee, make sure there's no electrical failures in your homes and things like that. From our end, we're going to be bringing the supplies to the North Port, and then from there, the Royal Defense Force is going to be delivering materials to each home.
Smith noting that in order to make this initiative a success and to ensure that it is done in a timely manner, the government will be on board paying contractors for their labor. She is encouraging young people that may have left the island to return, as it is essential to have all hands on deck in this process.
We will get the supplies. We will determine what the needs are for each individual house. Those supplies will then be taken to the homes, and the labor. The whole plan is to have teams of 3 working aggressively on these homes that we figure based on the damages done. You're talking about maybe 3 people working over a period of 10 days to kind of do a lot of these small repairs. So we need about probably 80 men and women to work. And I always say women, I'm a feminist at heart, so I believe women can do just as good a job.
Now, while this public-private partnership will go a long way in helping to speed up the rebuilding process for the North, Minister Henfield noting that there is still a long way to go for the entire island.
So this is going to take us some time to recover. We're going to need all the help that we can get. The government of the Bahamas, as long as I'm a part of it, will never stop, and I know my Prime Minister is dedicated to our full recovery, and we will not stop until Abaco and Grand Bahama are returned to the level of prominence that they had in the Bahamas before Dorian visited us. And that's a promise. That's a promise that I make to you as long as I sit as your Member of Parliament. We're going to be bigger, we're going to be better, and we're going to be stronger than we were before Dorian.
And while initial assessments have been carried out by social services, Smith notes that assessments for this project will need to be done by the Ministry of Works. Megan Shepard, ZNS Network News.
Thanks, Megan. Well, a similar meeting is also set for this evening in Foxtown. 17 Haitian nationals arraigned before the court this week on the charge of illegal embarkation. They all pled guilty and were convicted and ordered to pay $300 or in default serve 2 months at the Bahamas Department of Corrections. They were also ordered to ordered to be deported to Haiti upon payment of fines or upon completion of custodial sentence. The group was intercepted at sea by the U.S. Coast Guard. They left in a small vessel and had reportedly left Grand Bahama sometime last week, destined for Florida. According to reports, the group was brought to Grand Bahama and handed over to immigration officials. Stay with us. There's more news on the other side of the break.